Courage to be Disliked was an interesting read. Heather challenged me to read it so that we could come on and then do an episode about it. It's a very interesting book. Lots of really great insight, lots of talk about owning your own issues and things, which I think is a very poignant topic for all of us nowadays. So hope you'll dig in with us. So let's check it out.
Welcome to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
Heather, what's up?
Hey, Gene.
You sent me this book, told me
Yeah.
to read this book, and then we do a podcast on it.
Yeah.
The Courage to be Disliked.
The title really
Yeah.
jumped out at me. It's a good title.
How'd you find it?
I think it was maybe on someone's like reading list on Instagram or
Was it?
something
Okay.
or something like that. I can't remember where I found it, but I saw it and I was like, just the title alone, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling that right now. So I was like, I need to read this.
Why are you feeling that?
Oh, it's in like the root of the book. I've learned recently that by like living your truth, doing the right thing, it really interferes with other people's life or maybe their world. And getting a lot of hate recently for some stuff that I've been doing. And but I know I'm on the right side of things.
I usually find that, well, at least with YouTube comments,
Oh gosh, you should read those things up.
if they're negative, you're probably doing the right thing or saying the right things.
I've heard from people like, Heather, if you're causing conversation or you're on the right path.
I think you can take that in a wrong direction, like in a Howard Stern direction, where it's like,
oh well,
we're not complaining for the same reasons.
He just says things to get attention.
Yeah. You don't want to say things just to get attention.
Right. And that they talk about that in the book.
Yeah, right.
the recluse kid, right?
So you read the book on a printed piece of paper.
Yeah, I did. How
How did it come off to you? The author, I think, is Japanese.
Yeah, there's two. It's two authors.
Okay.
They're both Japanese. Yep. Yeah. It's like a dialogue. So it's like this youth kid comes into a philosopher's office and
I found that exhausting.
it was a lot of back and forth. And then the questions and the placating to the larger picture of the book. I was like, all right, just tell me,
I know, it's like, come on, bro.
But I get why they did that because while it was exhausting and kind of annoying, it worked. Like I feel like it actually worked.
I feel like I retained some of the lessons.
Yeah.
Maybe if they were just done it clinically or something, but
yeah, I think so.
But I don't think people talk like that.
Well, if we just picked up a book about Adler, you know what I mean? Like I think it helped too, because I've taken I'm sure you have too, philosophy classes.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't, my head's gonna explode.
Yeah.
So it did help.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm like, I'm too good for this, but it did help kind of like break it down for me.
I felt a little bit of that.
I did too.
I mean,
a little bit.
Yeah, I felt a little bit of like
I'm not a teenager.
Yeah,
I'm not,
I need to be taught.
Exactly.
But there you go.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
What are your any initial things you want to say about it?
Well, initially,
other than I didn't like the setup, but
larger picture, like I agree with the philosophy of it. Larger picture, like the way as a whole, what I gathered was if you live your life, you do. He even talked about morals and ethics a little bit. He did, But if you do live that truth, you live your life in the moment, not worrying about the past or the future, but focusing on the task at hand, you have a greater enjoyment of life.
Yeah.
Pretty simply put.
I can't disagree.
However, I would think it's like a lot of philosophy, it's a lot of privilege in that, I think.
Okay. In what way?
Like I always saw like philosophers, and the thing is philosophers, because I took theory in college.
I never took a single philosophy class in college.
So I did my master's on the philosophy of ethical production.
Oh, wow.
So I felt very privileged. I'm like, who has time to
I got you. Right.
sit down and ponder the meaning of life?
Right, sure.
And
sure, I see.
And then also like you have to be in a very particular status to be able to live this way.
It's sort of like where we are in general nowadays.
Right.
Everybody's pretty well. I mean, as much as we want to bitch about the economy and stuff, we're all pretty well off. We're all sitting around worrying about things that like your person who's really struggling to make ends meet isn't really worried about.
If you read the YouTube comments, you would think that for sure.
Yeah, right.
Like people are worrying about, and that's what they're talking about in this book is like, get out of other people's way, or not just do you.
Yeah. You do you.
And quit being so like offended by what another person's truth is, and not worrying about people being mad at you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the larger picture of what I got.
Cool. I listened to the audio book of it.
Oh, that had to be really annoying, actually. The back and forth.
It was a English dude as the professor, and then a obviously not young person as the young person. And it was a little rough. It was like Patrick Stewart saying the word Adlerian psychology over and over and over. I was like, bro, people don't talk like this.
Sometimes the voice,
because they read it
is really key. I've used to do a lot of like books on tape and stuff. Jeez.
And you're old.
I'm an old man.
I think reading it came off a little better than when they read it and I listened to them. Because people don't talk like this, and it was really jarring. So I wouldn't recommend the audiobook. I recommend reading it. Or having ChatGPT give you a shorthand of it. But I think it gets something out of it. But where you want to go?
Oh gosh. Well, let me look at my
well, we could start
my dog ears here.
I'm sure you have a bunch.
But yeah, you go ahead.
We could start with the whole premise of the thing is based on Alfred Adler's approach to psychology, right? Adlerian psychology.
Right.
If you read it or listen to it, they'll say those words a lot. And I guess what makes him, he's not even like, it's not unique anymore, right? It's more about your individual psychology, right? And about you have the power to change yourself through different like ways of approaching how you look at yourself and look at the world. So I think that's pretty solid, the overall idea of what was it, separating people's tasks from your tasks is one way to look at it, which I thought was a pretty key concept to it. So focus on what you said it already, but focus on what you can control, and not what's out of your control. And I think we get a lot of, in general, it's a lot of anxiety out there. And we're feeling a lot of anxiety because we're upset on behalf of another person.
Yeah. And they talk a lot about the self-inferiority.
Yeah.
Of like being, I guess, worried about, and what the root of it is, like you're worrying about other people.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like
not in a way of like, my son is supposed to be home at 11 and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm worried about him.
Or like the greater good of the world.
Yeah. You're worried about like someone being, insulted for who they are. And you haven't even met the person in person. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like where we are with a lot of stuff.
Definitely.
We're insulted over concepts. Because I often wonder, like, we see a lot of that stuff where somebody's upset over it and it's like, did that actually happen? Are you upset over an actual thing, or is it like the concept of the thing that could happen?
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like, where are you at with this? Did you see it?
Or
is it one video on the internet? It was one occurrence.
Another thing that, to that point, that really got me thinking was that, like, the folks that are upset with you, mad at you, like, whatever that is, whatever situation you find yourself in. I was thinking about, mine in particular. I was like, if you think about it, like these folks are mad at me. They're worrying about the future. They want to be the next this. They want to be the next that. And they're not worrying about the issue at hand right now. But they're trying to look good or set themselves up for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I imagine in that world, there's a lot of like ulterior motives and
that for sure.
Like shit they're trying to set up.
It made me think like, if everyone just acted, and I'm not perfect, but if everyone acted more in the now, and damn, I'm working on it, Gene. But if you focus on like the now and like what you're doing now, as opposed to where you're going to get in the future, I feel like we always go back to working out. Like if you treat every workout as if every rep, you're trying to do the best you can, you're going to benefit later on because of that.
Right.
Why,
but yet people still cheat those reps.
And people still cheat the reps. And having a goal in mind is great. But what I did love about this is and how we talked about like showing up to classes and stuff is like, you can't just show up.
Right.
You have to live now and like act now.
That's right.
And so I was like, oh, okay. So having like a philosophy behind like what we've been trying to articulate
is helpful.
We're really smart. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was pretty cool to have like a actual philosophy behind it. Like not just going through the motions, even if you don't have a goal in mind, that's okay.
Yeah. You may not know yet.
Yeah. In the work I'm doing now in my other, like my professional life, I do the best I can, not because I'm aiming for a specific thing, and that's okay, but I'm setting myself up for opportunities in the future.
That's right.
By doing what I can now.
Yeah. I mean,
that's all they talk about.
If you do the best you can in the moment, you're at least protecting your reputation. You're at least protecting your effort.
Yeah.
That means something.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when if you're thinking too much about the future, whatever, that's when you can tend to cheat things.
Sure.
Just when you start wanting to take shortcuts, that's also kind of where we are, I think, a lot. That's also why people cheat those reps. They're like, well, I got to get done faster than that person because I got to win. It's like, yeah, but did you really win?
And what are you really winning at?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's different.
We're little gym in Columbia. We're not going to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, it's funny, the psychology behind that. Even when we remove the competitive CrossFitty nature of things, people still cheat those reps. I see it. It's still there.
I just go classes. I'm like,
we see you.
That wasn't 20.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close.
That's one of the things that drives me is that I know people see me.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, I know they see it.
And even if they're not,
you can't fudge it.
You can't fudge it.
You just can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, letting go of what you cannot control. I had, that's definitely from the book, but I kind of gotten there with some stuff through some Stoic philosophy. There's a lot of stoicism, I think, in this Adlerian psychology. I would be surprised to find that, Adler did not study some of that stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking about like Marcus Aurelius and Ryan Holiday's work. I mean, you're fans of his stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of that in there.
Definitely.
Living in the present. I don't want to get, if you have dog ears, you just bring it up.
This thing is kind of a book where you just flip it and you can start talking about something. So and I think the reason, I just go back to our first gripe about it being like a dialogue between two people, is it does make easier to digest, I guess.
It does.
Like breaking it down a little bit.
Because the main dude is teaching the younger guy, and you're from the younger guy's perspective. So you're like learning alongside him, and they don't give you the overall concept up front. You kind of learn it as the protagonist does, I think.
Yeah, and I did not gather the progression which he describes the philosophy. Right. No clue. I have to read this like 3 more times. But we're talking about general themes here today.
And the protagonist, the young guy, really has some serious anxieties.
He does.
It's like, who hurt you, bro? Like,
he reminds me when I was younger.
Yeah.
You think everyone's watching you.
Yeah, you don't understand anything.
Yeah, you don't understand anything.
But you're so damn smart.
He's getting there. Shit, to be a kid, whatever how old he is. Funny. But you mentioned living in the moment.
Yeah, living in the present. So
the book advocates focusing on the present and the future rather than dwelling on the past. So it's sort of like, you're not defined by your past experiences or your past like things that you've done.
Yeah.
He
does juxtapose that with Freudian concepts,
right,
where everything's about
everything is about your past experience.
The past, your dad, the phallus, or something. I don't know. It's like crazy
like,
shit.
What did your mom and dad do to you when you were younger?
Correct.
Yeah. Which is cool because I'm not a big fan of that either. I mean, because I think a lot of people, I have caught some shit on some YouTube shorts over saying some things like this, which I'm fine with. But like, we're so quick to blame other people for things, like, oh, I can't do that, or I have anxiety over this, and it's because of this person, it's because of this experience. And it's like, well, yeah, but like, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to like live with that anxiety forever? Are you, is that who you are? You know what I mean?
I do.
It's like, oof.
You're letting someone control your life completely.
I'm going to catch shit over this one.
So, go ahead.
There was a podcast I was listening to, which is, I hate myself. So in the YouTube sphere, I don't know how much time you spend in YouTube. I spend a little bit of time because I'm trying to, do this podcast, but there are podcasts that react to podcasts.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, political world has
seen things
too.
like that. Yeah.
So there was one with Howie Mandel, which you already like, Howie Mandel, and then I forget the name of it. It's the two characters from the HBO the HBO Mafia show. What was that?
I watched a little TV.
Sopranos. So it's the brother and daughter from Sopranos. They're apparently good friends. They've done this podcast. Whatever. So the reaction is like, Howie Mandel's such a jerk. He doesn't know who they are. He doesn't listen to them. He disagrees with everything they say, and then he's rude. And that was the consensus. And then I was like, wow. And I listened to the actual podcast, and I was like, these two people are so self-absorbed. They are insulted that he doesn't know really who they are. Yeah. He knows they were in the Sopranos.
Yeah.
But why would you know anything about these people? It's Howie Mandel. He's way more famous than these people.
Yeah.
And he didn't agree with everything they said because he genuinely didn't agree.
Yeah.
They were being just as crappy as he was. He was like responding to their crappiness. But it was just like, one of the things that got me was Howie Mandel, and I know it's a long story. Howie Mandel is like a well-known germaphobe. Like, if you know anything about him, if you've watched America, you probably heard this and you don't give a shit who the guy is. So he's a germaphobe.
Yeah.
So he's got this issue, and he's got some other things that he's talked about. And he's been talking about this stuff for like 30, 40 years. Like, he was talking about being a germaphobe and having OCD before it was like cool, a long time ago. When you said that, like in the 90s, people were like, you're a freak.
Yeah.
Like, you're generally looked down upon. Yeah. This dude talks about how he has OCD and is a germaphobe. He wears it like a badge of courage. Whereas Howie Mandel's like, what's wrong with you? Like, these aren't good things. These are things you should fix.
Yeah.
To the point where the guy talks about how he can't have a long-term relationship because the girl brings her phone in the bed.
Oh gosh.
And how that's so full of germs. He can't have that phone in his germ-free bed. And Howie Mandel's like, you're a little nuts. And it's like,
it's a little bit extreme.
Yeah. But they were like so insulted that he wasn't like, on their same level.
The same way.
And I just, leading up to what I was saying about living in the present and not the past, being bound by these experiences or who you say you are stuff. It's like, on one hand, they're like okay with being this way. You know what I mean? They're like, they're using it as to define who they are. Whereas he's like, it is who I am, but I don't like it. Like, I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah.
I think there's two like very different thoughts on how to approach the world and who you are. And you're just like letting all these past experiences define exactly who you are, to the point where you envelop it. And this is who I am. I'm OCD guy, and it's like gross.
I think it can be both. Like, I think it's important to know where you come from and why you do things the way you do. But this is like, you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you can understand, like,
well, the guy's
based
obviously
past, like,
suffering. He can't keep a long-term relationship.
Yeah, that's not good. In Adlerian psychology, it's all about interpersonal relationships.
Yes, it is.
So,
right.
I mean, if
Right.
you're having issues with that, then you
Yeah.
have other
Yeah.
deeper problems.
That was a
I don't
long-winded
say
story,
problems,
but
that's good. That's a good just good story.
the juxtaposition of the two was
Right.
so obvious that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all the review reactions I saw were like missing the point of
You
like
know what's like
comparing the two and not just
it's like they're chastising him for wanting to live a more full life.
it's like
why would you?
who was
And that's that again. There's like the root of what this is. It's
Yeah.
like if more people just tried to be better, do what they need to do in the now, not worry about their future self.
yeah
And not to say don't have goals and things, but we would be. And I think that means like living more conscientiously.
yeah
And they do mention that the very the tail, like the last like chapter is about conscientiousness.
yes
Because if you're aware in the now, then you can make better ethical and moral choices, I think.
yeah
I think.
I think so.
And I mean, it's not that you're just making it and being like, F it, and like, I don't care what happens to the future of our children, but you make decisions in the now based on the information that you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I like the section about freedom and responsibility. I like the stuff they were talking about there, where like everything you do is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not be aware that you're
Yeah.
making a choice, but everything you do in life is a choice you're making. You're making a choice. You're choosing to
That's right.
accept something. You're choosing to reject something. And that's they don't put fault in which direction you choose necessarily.
No.
Where they put the fault is in you not taking responsibility or accepting responsibility for the results of those choices.
Mm-hmm.
So you make a choice to be, let's use the fitness thing. You make a choice to not work out, but then you are unhappy with who you are as a person because you have health issues or whatever. And it's like, well, I mean, you made that choice. Like you have done that forever. You've not done anything. You have to, I mean,
and then
it's not anybody else's fault.
And then there's a step further than that. Like, I feel like there's like graduated. So yes, showing up is the first thing.
Right.
For sure. And then it's like, how do you apply yourself?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, are you gonna really try? Or like, I feel like it's like a good job, you showed up.
Yeah.
Now what are you gonna do?
Exactly. I love that.
I guess. I don't know.
Well, I tell my boys, because they're one of them is a year and a half out from graduating college. One is just starting college. And don't get me started. And I just tell them, like, man, like the bar is so low for what people expect of your generations. Like, because I don't know where they land on being in what generation or not, but like the bar is so low, man. Like it's low. You just gotta like at this point in life, you just gotta like show up.
That's it.
Like, don't look like a hobo and show up. Like, you probably get what you want. Man, it's just like, where is the effort? Where's the effort gone? And I'm not shitting on a whole generation because I know a lot of people that put in a lot of effort and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say generally the consensus is that the bar is very low on expectations.
In a lot of different areas.
It's crazy.
I completely agree.
It's crazy. I mean, even in like our business, my web development business, like we respond to an email within 24 hours and people are like, man, that's fast.
That's what you
I'm
see.
like, whoa, like
right.
The edge that you need to compete on is not, it's not as sharp. Like, it's just kind of funny.
Do you ever been like awarded something or given something and you're kind of like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. You're like, where'd this come from? What did I do?
I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I've had that happen. I'm like,
yeah. You don't feel like you really put in a lot of effort for it.
But I guess compared to other people, I have.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it shouldn't have to be that. It shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I think telling your kids, like, listen, just show up.
Well, no, I tell them to like kick ass. Like, I'm like, do some,
but just
go do some work.
is,
like,
look,
be the friggin' best at it, you know?
I talked to a class in my office at the State House, and it was first generation college kids. And they're like, the people that lead the program, they're like, Heather, like, what's your advice to them? I'm like, go to class. Because chances are, if you go to class, it's like go into the gym. Just show up at the gym.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
the first step.
Right.
Is just show up. Do the minimum, and then you take it from there. But do that consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. Please.
I mean, because consistency means, you know.
Yeah, I know. What is the saying? People overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. Something along those lines. It's like, it's very true. Like,
it goes back to like the 1% better every day. Like
it really is.
A little bit at a time.
What else you got? What else you got from that book? Anything specific?
Man,
I just don't want to roll through my list here.
No, keep going if you want.
So,
community.
I was where I was.
We're on the same page.
Same brain.
Community. It talks a lot about community. And was it
community and social contributions?
Social contributions.
Like not just seeing that, hey, community exists.
Mm-hmm.
And should go stand beside it. It means actually like get involved and contribute something.
Because I mean, what's the Stoic saying? You know, you can also perform injustice by doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever that quote is. I thought that was a great, because the youth in this book is like, how egotistical you, like you're just so self-centered, it's all about you. And he's like, no,
I'm talking to you for an entire book.
You're making these, but he's also saying like you are making these choices to make the world better around you.
Right.
This is not about you in particular. And once you find like a purpose, like a higher purpose in the now, like you might piss people off. And that goes back to the whole point is like, by living that life, like you're going to inherently make people uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
You might. You have to be okay with it.
You have to be okay with it. But yeah, the community part I thought was really interesting because I was like, okay, I see that because you are who you are with. Not only that, but it's all about making the place better in the now where you live. And not so much worried about legacy and things like that.
Right. That comes.
Yeah.
That comes. We're also in such a hurry nowadays too. We want to get there really fast. You know, maybe that's just being an American too. Like we generally speaking can't seem to just like chill out, let things happen. You know,
we have a culture of working more than any other country. Yeah. We have the least amount of time off.
We're so results oriented.
We are very results oriented. We're, capitalism.
I think it is capitalism. I mean, I'm not against capitalism. I just
no, not at all.
Just like not everything needs to be capitalized. You know, like when you're talking about your own personal progress and something like fitness or whatever you're doing, creative endeavors. I mean, it takes time.
It does.
I mean, it takes time. I forget who I was talking with about whatever you're doing to like work on the craft of what you're doing. You know, and it seems like a lost thing because everything's a quick tutorial or like here's the way to do this. And, you're like, let me just look this shit up on YouTube real quick and see how to do it. And then there we go. I do it. We don't focus on the actual craft of the art of the thing we're doing. It's like when you find a really good mechanic, you know what I mean? And you talk to that person, but you talk to them, they're like really fucking good.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they took the time to get really good.
Yeah.
Like the, what is the old way of doing things? We have like an apprentice. You know what I mean? Like you don't see that anymore.
Not really.
Like, I mean, I know some industries work that way, like blue collar type industries, but like,
that's interesting.
Man, wouldn't it be cool to have, to be where you are now, but to have gone through like that relationship with a mentor or a teacher where you actually were an apprentice on something technical and you were really fucking good at it. It'd be really awesome to have that skill set.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take forever.
Do you think that's why like the trades are?
I think so.
Like plumbing and
dude, you worked in a coding boot camp, same as I had started one up. Like it ain't good It ain't good for the art.
No.
It's not good for the art of development.
No.
It's not good. It's
get it in, get out.
I said it. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, people on the internet. But like,
yeah,
you can learn the basics of something in 6 weeks or whatever, but you can't master that stuff. You can't. The only way to do it is to do it. Do it for a long time.
But I think it's also like what they talk about is like they do in the book. They also talk about the importance of doing what you love to do, what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also like you can't like what I saw in the code school, for instance, people who just wanted to get a job, make money.
Yeah. Well, that's the selling point.
And yes, but you also have to love you.
Well, how many
I
got?
tried. I'm like, I can't do that.
How many got through it and were like, I actually hate this?
Majority.
You know,
majority. Like
oh, this is what it is. Meh. Yeah.
Right. It sounds sexy and cool to code anywhere and make 6 figures out of school.
Yep.
But you literally stare at lines of code all day
for a long time. And your life is continually learning how to unscrew something.
So unless you love that, then or whatever that it might be.
I know, man. And it's like no emphasis on the actual like craft, the high level aptitude of like being good at it.
But I think in our society, like it's really hard in a lot of ways to have the privilege to have that time to do that.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I think it's really...
Well, that's why the apprentice thing works so great, because you get paid while you do it.
Well, we don't really have those.
I know, but come on, man. I mean, some industries, some trades do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is literally how it works. I know, like, the like plumbing, welding, electrical, like those things, that's how they're built.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a great way to do it, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, think about your own career in coaching fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can take that level 1, you can take I forget what they've even called the fitness test or whatever, study for it, go get it passed.
Whatever, yeah.
You don't know shit. What makes you know is coaching, actually being in the class, helping people with their goals and doing all that stuff for years.
Yep.
That's what makes you good.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, man. It's like college is cool, but like, man, what do you get at the end of that? You ain't done any of it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what have you done yet? Nothing. I get it, but
unless you're doing other stuff outside,
and that's hard. That's what you're talking about. Privilege of time. You may not have it, but like,
right.
And
going to college is not necessary either, or
it's not
a typical college.
It's not. Yeah. And I say that as a person who's gone through college and is putting both of his kids through college. I mean, I do value it. It's just, and I tell both of them, like, you need to be doing something, that has some adjacent value or something while you're doing that. Like, you need to be able to tell that story, at the end of it. Like,
to sell yourself. Yeah.
I think so. And I think a lot of people come out of it and they don't have that story, and they're just like, I'm here. And it's like, well, I know. I mean,
I've seen that a lot. Like, here's my degree. Give me a job.
Yeah. It's like doing what exactly?
Who are you?
You don't know anything.
Who are you? Yeah. What did you stand for? What kind of work ethic do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to just shit on colleges because, I mean, they are good. I'm paying a lot of money for them, but like, you gotta pull that out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like from the stories you've told, we have similar approaches to college. Because I went for a that wasn't graphic design at the time, but that's what it turned out to be. And I worked as a graphic designer, and sometimes for free.
Because you loved it.
Well, yeah, but I wanted to get good at it, and like the only way to get good at it is to do things for people. And I did some of that. I did a lot of stuff for free, and I did a lot of freelance, and I got a job doing it. While I was in school. I mean, I don't know if I'm just like out of it enough to where it's like maybe that's not possible anymore.
Well,
I mean, I feel like it kind of is.
I don't know. I mean,
I see a lot of people I've come across a lot of designers that have gotten out of school and now they're really hustling and they're doing shit for free and they're doing those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, well, you probably could have been doing them at the same time.
I did learn. I was like, I had some students reach out for internships and like, they're like, and the professor was like, oh no, they only take paid internships.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I don't have any money.
I was like, well, also like, shit, I was doing like 10 things for free.
Yeah.
And also working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a whole thing.
I feel old, man. I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, too. I used to work 2 jobs in
Yeah.
school. And
I as I'm saying it, I kind of feel that way too.
I'm like, but
I don't know. I was broke as shit too. I mean,
I feel bad for any kid coming out of college right now. That to afford to even live at a place. And
yeah, well, that's a whole different conversation of like the cost of housing and stuff. Yeah.
It is, but I hear, going back to like just the youth of the day and them getting shit on, like I've had older people gripe like, well, I owned a house and a car. I'm like, we had one person in the house working one job.
I know.
You could buy a home that's now paid off.
I know.
And have 2 cars in the driveway and go on a vacation every year.
Yeah, that is a different thing. I look at the house I bought back in, I'm not even gonna say the year, but we bought it. It was like 120 grand.
Mm-hmm.
We sold it now. It's like $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as is, it's like, that's not sustainable.
No.
I mean, I get all that.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, I do think it does, how do I say this? Like, to sit around and ponder philosophy and yet, still have to live in the world.
That's kind of where I'm going. You have the time to sit around and ponder philosophy, but you don't have the time to get an internship.
Or sit on YouTube and complain about things.
Yeah, it's like, you could probably work. You could probably volunteer your time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you will go volunteer your time, but then you won't volunteer for the thing you're working on.
That's a great point. While you may not be able to control the economy not being perfect.
Yeah, you can go do something.
You can go do something.
I think you can.
Yeah.
You can make some shit up on your own.
Or do the best you can.
Yeah, make up your own thing and do that.
Right.
So we just solved all those problems.
Yeah, we did.
Just come to us.
You sent me a bunch of stuff. Some of these are really hilarious.
I hope we can get into those
Headlines. I don't know if you want to talk about them today, but
I do. I want
find it kind of interesting because they all kind of tie into what this book is about.
They do. Well, let's get into them. Maybe we'll come back. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah. I'll pull stuff from the from the book as I.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, the top one is really interesting.
So I titled that
Boot
Camps versus Seal Fit only because it was my interest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I came to fitness through Seal Fit. Like, that's not true. I came to being in the world through my wife, who did some kickboxing and some things, and she was like, bro, you're lazy, you need to do something. I was like, you're probably right. And I went and did some stuff and I liked it. But where I really dug in was through Seal Fit, through Mark Divine, his book,
mental training.
Yeah,
whatever,
that really sparked something. And then Seal Fit is known for their 72-hour Kokoro camp.
Yeah.
It's the big boy. It's the OG, like, tough, like, civilian Navy SEAL buds experience. And I watched those videos. I made you watch them. Mm-hmm. We did our own Seal Fit for a year. Like, we still do it when we can.
Yeah.
But then there's this this article, and I did break down the article in another episode here, so I don't want to break it down specifically, but the point is they're picking on this modern day night project. And I don't know if you had a chance to look at any of the stuff from Modern Day Night. It's pretty cheesy.
No, I have not.
It's very cheesy.
What is it about?
It is it's the one that everybody picks on, right? When they pick on, boot camps. Like, it's $18,000.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a weekend or something. Yeah, and they just basically beat you up.
Okay. You pay for this?
Yeah.
That's privilege.
And so a lot of the comments are always like, bro, just join the military, or hey, look, men paying lots of money to be, picked on or whatever. It's always like, what's your shortcoming? What are you making up for?
Yeah.
Like all that kind of stuff. So that's my setup.
Mm-hmm.
What's your initial, like I just said, hey, look at this. What do you think?
It's kind of like paying to be in a sorority, fraternity. I mean, you pay for structure. Or
what's the difference?
Or you invest in something to, I guess, teach you other skills in life that you might need.
Yeah.
Or that you feel that you lack, or be pushed in a different direction.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it, but some people need that, and that's fine. I guess if you have the means to do it. but I guess that's cool. I mean, you should pay for a personal trainer, but
yeah.
Maybe some people need the shit beat out of them. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, first off, it's the internet. Everybody has an opinion, right?
Well, we're talking about our opinions.
So the title of the article,
okay,
is "Men Are Going to Brutal Boot Camps to Reclaim Their Masculinity. How did we get here?" Which is just like, it implies so much,
Of course, it's a very snappy little title.
But one of the points is like, men are seeking out difficult experiences, says a licensed therapist. They're seeking out groups, they're seeking out tribes, they're seeking out some sort of social bonding and sense of social capital. And they're turning to these groups that, to me, feel like they're giving people a bit of a false sense of that. Which ties into we were, which is a good point to get into, because we were talking about the importance of community.
Yeah.
And how it can be really fulfilling to plug into some community and affect that community, or it just be a genuine part of it or whatever. I mean, I don't want to pick on this one specific one, because it's like anything out there, there's going to be bad things.
Yeah.
It's like we talk about police. There's good police and there's bad police. There's good soldiers, there's bad soldiers. There's good teachers, there's bad teachers. Like, it's everything, like,
yeah,
it's just fun to pick on one that's like really extreme, where they're like basically mocking these people.
But we also know that like most of like physical exertion, which is what they're talking about, it's mental.
Yeah, 100%. And
if you look at Mark Divine, any of what he teaches, it's about mental toughness and resiliency and being a good leader.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've read that, like, the people that wash out of the BUDS SEALs, which is the week-long Hell Week, whatever, it's BUDS Hell Week. He's like, the first people that wash out are the, like, blue chip athletes. They're the ones that wash out because they've just relied on their athleticism their whole life. They've never had to like develop the mental capacity.
That's what the grit is. That's where the grit comes in, I guess.
I don't know. It's like, but it made me relook at a lot of things. Like, it made me relook at that Kokoro camp and be like, is that one of those things? This is really funny.
Kind of. I mean,
whereas like this one, they would get negative comments and people would just pile on, but like the SEAL Fit would get a negative comment and people would like be defending it. What makes it different?
Would you do this if resources weren't a factor? Would you go do this?
No, not the modern day night one. I would do the Kokoro one in a heartbeat.
I have to read more about that other one. I don't know much about it.
Just think of like the most extreme one that you could think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like
complete beatdown.
It's just a complete beatdown. It's like one of the famous Instagram videos is out there is like there's these dudes climbing up a hill and the cadre, the instructor guys, just literally pulling them back down the hill.
Oh,
and being like, you're a piece of shit, and pulling them back down the hill.
Yeah.
And they don't really do that in the SEAL Fit. In the SEAL Fit, they push you, but they have like respect for you in the process. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just a little more respectful. And I don't know if I'm just picking nits. I'm just picking the differences, but like they sure feel different,
Well, I think we can tie the book into this, is like they talk about every person has their own strengths, weaknesses, and not everyone's a genius. Not everyone's going to be the peak of physical specimen.
We can't all be special.
We can't all be superior.
Right.
Well, I say superior,
we
but
sure feel that way.
Yeah, whatever you want to say it. And to me, like, there's a line, I think, in that there's this this reminds me of there's a special, I think it's on Netflix, but about the kids camp that parents would send their children to in like Arizona or something, or middle of nowhere. It was a camp to basically, these are like delinquents, like they're in like DJJ all the time, and they're in and out, they're bad, they skip school, they're being bad. And so they send them to this camp, and it turned out to like, it was like extremely like starvation and sleep deprivation, and like they go hiking for 100 miles at a time with no nothing. Like, that's also extreme.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can't beat the life. It's like I'm training a new puppy right now.
Right.
Beating the puppy is not going to help.
Right.
Positive reinforcement. Right. I don't know.
Right.
Like, it's very interesting.
Right.
But,
Well, this is one of the things from the book here where they were talking about encouragement rather than praise.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's like I find that like when I'm teaching classes, particularly like martial arts stuff, if I'm teaching classes, I try not to just praise. Or let me rephrase that. I catch myself just praising,
right,
instead of encouraging, and I think there's a
definite
difference in like, oh, that was a beautiful kick. Well, you always have beautiful kicks. Like it's not really like that hard for me to say that. Yeah, it's like go for the easy thing,
right?
As opposed to the paying attention to the person that's really been struggling, and they finally get something right. You need to encourage that. Yeah. Right? There's a very distinct difference.
I think it's like with what I've seen with like parenting. I'm not a parent, but instead of being like, say they run in a track meet and they get dead last, instead of being like, good job. Well, he didn't do.
You didn't do a good job.
But I appreciate the effort that you gave.
Yeah,
and you gave it everything.
Yeah, you trained hard.
That's about your personal where you are.
Right.
I think that's the difference.
I do too, and that might be some of the difference between, we're naming names, but like Seal Fit versus some of these other ones where it's like they're just doing the easy things. Like it's really easy to just get somebody's face and beat them down.
Correct.
Versus what level of beat down do they need?
I mean, it's
because some people need more than others.
There's a sophistication to being able to to slow down.
Yeah, it's not just about
brute force is not always the best way to do stuff.
Right. And I maybe it's so top of mind for me because I just, thought about it a lot with, we just had a student at our dojo test for black belt. And like, I was talking to my teacher a lot about it. Like, it'd be real easy to just smoke this guy in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then I'd be scraping him off the ground for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
It's like, what level does he need to be at? You know what I mean? And maintaining that level of mental and physical exertion for the course that we've set out is much more difficult than just like ramping it up and seeing where they go. It
shows restraint.
Yeah. And I think maybe we're looking at, I don't know shit about the difference in the military and the harder training. So I'm talking out of my ass, but like the difference between like somebody like Mark Devine, who has sort of embodied and trained these people to maintain the standard. And he knows what bringing everyone to that standard looks like versus just beating the shit out of somebody for 3 days. There's a big difference.
I just thought of this, but it reminds me of like a lot of Steel Fit workouts we do. They're all longer workouts.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like chippers.
Right.
Like you're chipping away.
CrossFit chipper. Yeah.
And the same with like the test you talk about is like, you're showing restraint, but you have to make it through the whole thing,
right?
Called life,
right? Yeah, I mean,
and to focus on the task at hand, whether it's carrying the water jugs back and forth 100 times,
right?
Okay, I got to do this one more time.
Yep.
Okay, I have to do this one more time. Okay, just one more time. Like running to the next light pole, to the next light pole. Like, it's like breaking that down. And back to the book is like where they talk a lot about is like living now can help you get through the longer picture.
Yeah, just the next hour. Like, what are you doing right now?
I think that's why working out is such a good like way to compare, because it's like
it is
like they said the test, like you've also lived it. So you're like, okay,
sure.
I know physically and how that impacts you mentally, things like that. So many things to think about.
It is.
So a lot to think about.
What do you get out of hard training for you personally? What do you get out of? I mean, we've done some crazy shit.
Yeah.
We did a month of hero workouts. Which is one of the honestly, when I think back about things that I've done, it's one of the pinnacles of completing something personally.
Big deal.
Because it was hard.
Very hard.
And injuries occur
5 days a week, right? 5 days.
It was, I don't remember. It was at least 4.
Yeah.
Injuries happened, and it was so long, a month, that the injuries healed and I got new injuries.
Yeah.
Like
You kind of just work through them.
Probably really dumb, but like, I don't know. I feel like I got a lot out of it.
I don't know. I did.
What do you get from some of those crazy things? Like, what do you get out of it?
Accomplishment. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I don't know about you, but like, I train now and I don't think about it as like
right.
something I have to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
I just do it.
Yeah.
Like it's a part of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know. I don't even think about it as a chore or something I have to do, or it's not for vanity.
Just
it's
life.
like, it's just like a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been for so long. Like we've been running this gym for what, almost 10 years now?
Yeah, crazy, right?
9 years?
Yeah.
And before that I was very active too. Like, don't get me wrong, like doing a ton of stuff, but this kind of like training and now martial arts and things like that, like it's just a part of who I am.
It's a life, man.
It's a life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of life I want to live. I mean, very active and, you know.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing when you see somebody, when you see that click in somebody's brain. You can just see it.
Very
like,
much.
Like, man, you live in the life. And they're just like, yeah. It's like, this is the way.
And then you never know if it's a flicker.
Well, yeah, that's
because there's that high when you first get started, and then I think
then you have to actually apply yourself.
Well, no, people realize they're like, I've told my friends this before who've come to the gym and then left. I'm like, you have to do this forever.
Yeah, this is not like a.
This is not like a once in a lifetime thing, and I do think that we do get those who are like, oh well, you know, you can only, aren't you lucky, Heather, that you can do that? Aren't you lucky that you can just go run a 5K, not, you know, not even train or get out of breath? I was like, I've been doing this shit for decades.
Yeah, it's not
consistently.
Yeah.
Like I've taken time off because of injuries or surgeries or, you know, whatever. But it's been like just a steady thing that has just been a part of my life.
Yeah. So you're just like continuing that.
I don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird. I don't even think about it.
I don't either.
Do you?
We just do it.
I just do it.
Just go train.
I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
No, if I had like certain goals, like tests coming up, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to plan out my.
Yeah, you got it.
But I'm ready to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I will be ready.
You're ready at any time to take on some new task. Yep.
I'll be ready to go, and that's like I think that's life is like always preparing every day, taking. You know. That is
one reason why I do train, is that like I want to maintain that readiness state to be able to do. You know, I don't want to be weird and be like, the moment it calls, I have to step in. It's just like, but it's part of it where I just want to physically be ready at any point. I don't want to be like,
There, come on, you could probably think of moments where you had to use whether your mental quickness or your physical quickness. Like I've had to pick a dog up and run up a hill before because there's another dog coming at me.
And they're tied together.
And they're correct.
The mental and the physical are tied together. And 100%.
It has prepared me for my work in politics. It has prepared me like for relationships.
Yep.
It all ties together.
The lessons are there if you're willing to learn.
If you're willing to see it.
I think so. Yeah, for sure. Man, that's a good one. I'm glad we brought that up.
You know, just I would say very simply, if you need to do that, that's what you need to do, then do it.
Yeah.
I think like masculine. I guess men are doing that too, but
I think it's just.
I think it's a fancy.
It's just
headline.
easy to get after. Yeah, I mean, it's like.
Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, people pay for these fancy leadership seminars coming to their corporations.
I've seen women's only leadership. Things, and I look at the people talking the things, and I'm like, that's a load of bullshit.
I've been through trainings in corporations where I've worked.
Fuck this stuff.
Through these like team leadership,
and they're horseshit.
You figure out what color you are, where you fit. I'm like, you know what I mean? They're like, well, you're blue. You respond best to this.
To green people.
I'm like, well, today, but tomorrow might be this.
Yeah, I know.
Based on
it pissed me off. I might be red.
Right, I might be red. You know, but like, it's just people have such a desire to put things into a box.
Yeah, I think so.
That it's kind of exhausting.
Yeah, and I don't know much about that one whatever project thing, but like sometimes dudes just need their ass beat. Maybe that's what that is.
Well, again, I think when you are physically exhausted, you know, Do you quit?
Was it you I was talking with about that? Literally, like yesterday?
I don't know.
I mean, I
What
forget
was
who
it?
it was. Like, we're talking about hard training and how, like, you know, we've trained for like 6 hours straight one time. And like, it's like the first 4 hours, like, that was just me getting to the point where I could learn.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what, like, the first few hours are just getting to that point where you can take in concepts, you know, because until then you're not tired yet. So you're like mentally defending things and your ego's in the way, and you just got to whip that shit out of you. And then you can like listen.
It's funny that I see that in session at State House, like the longer days go on,
the more they're willing to give.
People's temper starts switching. People start getting tired.
They get hangry.
Well, they get hangry.
I hate that term.
And then, you know, it's interesting because they lose self-control.
Yeah.
I'm like, have you none?
What is
like you've clearly they don't have any.
No. Living a life of leisure, man.
And it's just very interesting to watch, like literally decorum disintegrate before my eyes.
I bet that's
and I'm like
otherworldly.
I'm kind of like laughing. I'm like, y'all have no self-awareness or control of yourself at all. And I'll sit there like next to my seat, I'll be like,
what the hell?
Well, this is it. Like, this is who we got here. Like, are you okay with us? I'm not.
No,
you know,
you should not be.
It's just poor leadership. Anyway, but it's very interesting.
I bet
watch
it's fun
complete
to watch,
meltdown over 12 hours.
Holy moly.
So great. Trust me, I started want to not lose my temper ever, but like just want to say how I really, really feel, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah.
What's this thing you got about double standards in women's sports?
Oh, you want to look at that one? Sure. Did you get a chance to look at it?
I'm looking at it now. Is this about like, you know, the women's basketball and stuff like that?
Some of that's in there.
Yeah.
What it's really about is Danielle Brandon from CrossFit.
Oh, yes.
She yes. And they're comparing her to Josh Bridges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they used the basketball moment too, but it's really like this. And I was interested to get your opinion on this because you're an NCAA athlete, and like, so let's take Danielle Brandon. She's losing a portion of a competition, and some would say throws a fit. You know, like she's not happy with her performance. So I don't know the specifics, but like slams her jump rope down. You're like, ooh, bad sport. But Josh Bridges, on the other hand, is doing this workout. He's redoing one that he already messed up, and he doesn't do well, and he slams his jump rope down. They're like, wow, look at his competitiveness. You know, and it's like, what is that double standard? And do you see it? I mean, I imagine you see it in the realm of politics too. Like, is it real?
So I give you an example that just happened like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it has to do with both. So I'm in the lobby. I'm like talking to the constituent or whatever like that, and a colleague of mine walks by, and he like kind of bumps into me, not on purpose. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, that's okay. And he's like, oh, it's okay. He grabs my arm. He's like, damn, Heather, you're trying to show us all up, you know? And he's like grabbing me, and I'm like, what?
Stop touching me, bro.
I'm not like a thing to grab.
You're about to get your first karate lesson. It's free.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of I've been approached a lot of times about like my fitness and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to like flatter me, I guess. But it comes off kind of like
very salesy.
Very salesy.
Yeah,
and
I don't like
they're
it.
trying to like put me down or something, like
that's what salesmen do.
To make them feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not gonna happen. So like go do something.
Yeah, I don't care what you think.
But I've had that happen before, for sure.
So it is real.
As a woman, I can tell you.
I didn't think it wasn't real. I've seen it too.
Yeah.
It's just kind of silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a silly thing. That's interesting that someone would feel okay to like touch you, which is weird.
Right.
And I'm a person. This is me. Like seeing eye to eye with Howie Mandel too. Like, I don't like to be touched by strangers. Sure. Like, it really gives me the willies.
Like, this guy doesn't talk to me, let alone
a complete stranger.
Grabbing me.
Yeah, they're fucking strangers.
and now you're saying something else.
Yeah,
Like,
shut the fuck
I
up.
don't know. I'm like, it just didn't sit right with me. I'm like, and people in the lobby were offended. They're like, what the fuck? Like, why is he grabbing you?
Yeah, he shouldn't be doing that. Yeah.
You know, I have other things said to me, not like, but a lot about my physical attributes,
Yeah.
like in being athletic and doing karate. Like,
Is there a problem?
I'm like, yeah, oh, you're a martial art. Oh God, shit, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Watch your shit.
And that's all I say. I'm like, I'm not gonna like appease you.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, but
Yeah.
I have heard that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not comparing myself to that at all because I don't get that part, but I do get a lot of like people telling other people that I intimidate them and things, and it bothers me because it's like, what? Like, I'm the nicest guy you're probably going to talk to. You know what I mean?
But that's about them.
Yeah, I know it is. I don't really give a shit at the end of the day.
But
like,
it's true. But yeah, we're talking about the situation.
It
but,
like
yeah.
But it does. It's like, really, you know, like, man, you read the room wrong there, didn't you? You know, like, I'm the guy. I'll stay up all night and work on your project just because I told you I would. You know, like, is that a problem? Like, how is that bad? You know, and it's sort of the same thing. Where it's like, how is someone being competitive, whether they're male or female, in a competitive scenario?
Right.
It's a CrossFit Games, you know, or a NCAA championship for basketball. Like, why in any scenario, why is competitiveness bad? Isn't that why we're here? like if I didn't want to witness competitiveness, I'd watch, you know, Bluey on, you know, the kids' TV or whatever.
Well, people have an issue with certain demographics.
Yeah,
including
winning.
Those kind of those they expect a certain set of behavior from a certain set of people.
Yeah, it's like the kicker from Kansas City did the. I don't know if you saw that in the news yet.
Oh, I saw him. He said, "I'm going to take him in the nuts."
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
What?
And that's what I see a lot of my one of my jobs, like people pushing upon their own personal views on somebody.
What?
Just stay out of people's lives, man.
Yeah.
Like go home to your wife in the kitchen. That's fine.
You don't need to do anything.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that.
Right. Why would you?
And why would you tell other people that's how to live a virtuous life?
Yeah.
Like, I would have kicked him off the stage. Anyway, that's a guy I would love to see in a dark alley somewhere.
Well, it's the same thing, though. It's the same. I mean, you all have that same bias, and it's like, it's kind of weird.
But that's literally this week at a college graduation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's that time of year. We're going to hear a couple more.
Oh,
like Seinfeld had one, too. People hate him now.
I saw people walk out of that one. Like was interesting.
Yeah. I kind of like watched that, though, and I was like, I kind of agree with a lot of what he's saying. I don't understand why. Like,
well, Jerry's kind of he's
70.
He's also a comedian.
He's 72.
His whole show was the most unlikable people.
I know. They were not.
They're not characters that you love, except for Kramer.
That was the whole point.
But everyone, I hated them all. George is awful. Lane's awful. Jerry's awful.
I know. They're so petty, and like that's the whole joke.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't get it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to. You got me off track with the
Oh, sorry.
Actual Seinfeld thing there, but
yeah. But let's go down double standards a bit. But yes, in sports and even in politics for sure.
The courage to be disliked. I mean, just don't even read the book. Just be okay with it.
And if you're living your truth. And I mean, obviously do not do things to harm other people, but do what's best for your community and the time that you live now. And then the rest should work out. Yeah. That's the hope.
Well, yeah.
We'll see how that works out. Right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, this is a good book. I'm glad I read it. I hope you are too.
Yeah, thanks for sending it to me.
Totally worth the read, I think. And I have run into several people who have been reading it or have read it.
It's interesting.
Just yesterday.
It must have made the rounds on something.
It must have. I posted it. I had a lot of people when I started reading it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I need to read that." And I think a lot of people have gotten the book. I'm going to give this to a friend of mine to read next.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
And I think if people lived more like this, I think, and we strive to be better people and not worry about.
I can't disagree.
What position we're going to get next? I think we'd all be in a much better position.
I think so too. But that's
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, everybody.
I know, right?
Man, I wish. Yeah, thanks for sending me the book. Yeah, like everything you just said, I give it 5 stars, except for
5 stars.
don't listen to the audiobook.
Oh yeah, don't. I'm
Just
glad I
read it.
didn't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really weird.
And the book is actually really quick to read.
Yeah,
A really quick read.
I read it way faster than the audiobook.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet.
But I was
Yeah,
stuck in the car for 10 hours, so it worked out.
Yeah, this is a very good read on a plane.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you.